The super obvious answer to every problem is more compute. So now, given genetic intelligence, how can one use more compute and thus arrive at the solution of all the problems that one faces until the end of one's life earlier, and thus, I know it seems ridiculous, solve even more problems until one dies. The first solution is to use external compute. This has the most leverage. But in order to orchestrate, at least the outsourcing, one still needs to run local compute. So now, how does one optimize local compute? It seems, quite obviously, that the body is a machine. So now, again, given genetic intelligence, what can one do to increase peak compute, as in peak intelligence, or also average intelligence? While increasing peak intelligence also might come with its downstream effects, it seems the way larger lever is to increase average functional intelligence, which I call shortly FIQ. One could call it AFIQ for average functional intelligence, or simply not IQ, but of course IQ is the thing that then again measures intelligence. So how does one? The body is a system similar to energy networks, where the voltage of the network acts as a signal, how much demand and how much supply there is. The body has a similar signal, and that's how much blood sugar is in the blood. If it is too much, it begins to become toxic. If it is too little, one begins to have hunger walls. Thus, the management of blood glucose seems to be something that's quite important. In this head here, my brain is housed. My brain is an organ that consumes energy. The more stable, and also the higher the peak energy my body can supply to the brain, the potentially higher and also more stable the output of the brain probably is. One only has to eat a bag of gummy bears to have a high and to then eventually crash. So, increasing average functional IQ via A, increasing endurance, which one again could proxy by either something like the Garmin Cardio Score or also by one's VO2 max estimate, or actually properly measured VO2 max, one possibly can drive adaptations in the body that then stabilize energy supply, but potentially also increase peak energy supply that is then supplied to the organs like the muscles as well as the brain. One then maybe has, let's just assume, an average IQ of 100 throughout the year. Let's assume a person has a peak IQ, and that seems to be what is usually measured in IQ tests. It's not like we wake you up at 2 a.m. in the morning. It's not like we wake you up at 2 in the morning and now you have to do an IQ test in the next 2 minutes. That usually takes 40 minutes. But it's a standardized scenario that probably usually takes place in one's circadian peak of the day, maybe ideally even one's seasonal peak. So the annual peak. And of course, ideally also, one's lifetime peak, maybe not at 2 years old and maybe also not at 98 years old, to then find genetic peak IQ. So therefore, functional IQ seems way more malleable compared to, well, genetic peak IQ, even though the health component might also play